3D printing is cheaper, higher quality, and more accessible than ever. But is it actually helpful for us photographers? That's what we're going to answer today, starting with the thing I've printed probably 100 of at this point, and that is lens adapters. Anytime you're trying to take a lens that goes on one camera and put it on an entirely different camera, you're going to need a lens adapter. And 3D printing is by far the cheapest, fastest, and most customizable way to do this. And the good news is most of the common lenses that you'd want to adapt to and the common cameras you'd be adapting to, those models have already been made and are freely accessible to download and immediately print on your printer. Just type in the adapter you want, download the files, run it through a slicer, and send it to your printer, and in less than an hour, you got yourself an adapter. And this saves you money over the metal ones, which can really start to add up if you're trying a bunch of old lenses that you found at the thrift store. I still think the metal adapters you can order are more sturdy, and that especially matters if you're adapting a huge, heavy lens. Normally, I'll just 3D print my own adapters, and then if I find a combo I really like, then I'll go ahead and order the adapter. But for playing around with dozens of cheap lenses and just having fun, nothing beats 3D printing. But even better than that, 3D printing allows you to make adapters that don't even exist yet. Over the years, there's been a handful of film lenses that I wanted to adapt to my digital cameras, but no one made an adapter to do so. So when that happens, I make my own. This one is probably the most ridiculous one I've ever made. Adapting tiny Pentax Auto 110 lenses onto my Ricoh GXR M-mount module. Now that's a setup you don't see every day. But now that I've played with that and had fun with it, I made that model free and available on the internet so that any of you with your own printer can make it at home at your convenience. And that's the beauty of the 3D printing community. People love to contribute and give back and share things for free so that everyone can have fun. I made a whole video about how to make your own adapters, and you can check it out after this video if you're interested. This even works for making custom fittings for lenses that don't have mounts at all, like this little lens I ripped off a point and shoot film camera that absolutely rocks. Lens adapters, super easy to print. You can make stuff that doesn't exist, and this will actually save you money too. And speaking of lenses, there's some more cool 3D prints you can do. Have you ever wanted to try macro photography, but you don't have a macro lens? Just print a macro extension tube of any length you like and turn any of your lenses into a fun macro lens. How about you're about to leave for a photo shoot and you realize you lost your body or your lens cap? Well, if you have a 3D printer, you can whip one out in about 15 minutes. Or do you ever find yourself out there taking photos and then suddenly you realize, I never bought a lens? Okay, that's a bit of a stretch, but you can actually make your own lenses too. As long as you have some piece of optic from an old camera, another camera lens, or just bought separately for a few dollars from a craft store, you can turn that into a lens. And there's a bunch of free great resources out there for custom made lenses that even include helicoids for focusing or even aperture rings. And the opportunities there for fun are endless. This is an area I want to experiment more with myself. Next up, I have a load of cool camera accessories you can print to customize any camera. Here's one that I made myself. It's a waist level optical viewfinder that you can put on top of any camera and give yourself an optical view of the world. And even if you already have a tilt screen for shooting waist level shots, it's just really fun to look through an optical viewfinder to compose. Trust me on that. No batteries, just lenses and mirrors. People still ask me, like, where's the battery? I have a video on my channel detailing all the lenses you'd have to buy to make this work. Super fun project. And these are also super popular. They're thumb grips for compact cameras like this one for the Ricoh GR. And this model was actually sent to me by one of you, and you did a great job on this one. It gives a nice grip to the camera, an extra place for you to rest your thumb. There's a lot of these tripod mount hand grips for compact cameras too. Just search the camera that you have, and chances are that someone has made one available for free out there, which is pretty cool. And if you're into rigging out a camera with accessories for filming, you can also print a whole camera cage. These are really helpful for attaching lights, microphones, handles, and more to a camera. And this one I'm printing is for the cult classic Canon EOS M camera. There's a bunch out there already for popular cameras, so just check to see if there's one for yours. Lots of camera accessories to print. They add functionality to your camera. They're cheap, easy to print. It's awesome. Now, if you're like me, you might have a bunch of camera gear and it starts to get messy. And that's where these next prints come in. Camera gear organization. What about all those SD cards you have laying around? There's a bunch of free nifty solutions for those, from wallet size holders to ones that would go in your drawer. There's one unnecessarily shaped like a dinosaur. I tried one of these sleeve ones so I can keep them all together while in my camera bag. It's super useful and only took me a few minutes to print. I also have way too many lenses. Like, seriously, it's a problem. I have bought and had good success with some water bottle holder products on Amazon that work well for lens storage as well, but they're kind of expensive. Luckily, there's a lot of fun 3D printable solutions for this, But I decided to try out these ones made for wine bottles or water bottles. They are cheap and they're modules, so you can add them only as you need them as you go. It's just, this is the biggest print we've done yet in this video, so it's gonna take a while. And a long print like this would have stressed me out years ago, because in the early days of 3D printing, 3D printers were more prone to failure and required a lot more manual intervention to get it to work. And I'm gonna sound like an old man, but let me tell you, 3D printing today is so much easier than it used to be. This printer that I've been printing everything on for this video is made by Elegoo, who sponsored this video and sent me this printer for the video. It's the brand new Elegoo Centauri Carbon. And if you're new to printing and want to get your first printer, or you're upgrading an old printer to a better one, let me tell you about this printer because it is dead simple to use. Just pulling it out of the box, and the instructions to go from getting it out of the box to your first print fit on this small double-sided sheet of paper. And it really was this simple. Take the printer out of the box, remove the padding, plug the display in, unscrew 3 screws. Oh no, you have to unscrew screws. These are the only screws you have to touch. Load the filament, turn it on, and print. And that whole process took less than 10 minutes. And the amazing part is that not only is this printer easy to use, high quality, and it looks incredible, it's also affordable. I've also been using Elegoo filaments for years now before they sponsored me without any issue. So if you're ready to start 3D printing journey, use my link in the description to pick up this printer. Highly recommend it. And it looks like our print is finally done, so let's check it out. That took just under 3 hours, required no supports, and came out beautifully on the printer. And the cool thing about 3D printing is if something doesn't meet your needs, like if I wanted this longer or shorter, larger or smaller, I can just scale the model and get precisely the product I want. There are a lot of other photography organization and gear organization things in general that you can 3D print, like drawer organizers, little shelves, a lot of really cool stuff out there. Organizing your gear is super functional and practical, and they're easy to print. So there's a win there. I found this next print extremely clever and helpful for a book that I'm writing about old cameras. Will I ever get this book done? That's another question. But I needed a really nice backdrop for some of the photos I'm gonna shoot in the book. And if you haven't learned this about me already, I'm extremely cheap. So even the $40 kits on Amazon seem too pricey for what is essentially a little bit of plastic and some paper. Thankfully, someone already thought this through and made these clever little holders that you can print really quick and allow you to slide any sort of paper for an infinity backdrop look. I just used poster board I got from the store for less than $1, and it works fantastic. And there are a bunch of other models like this, whether they're backdrops or housing for a light box or something. So if you're shooting macro photography, product photography, this can come in real handy. And if you're feeling a little more DIY and ready to take on something more advanced, there are actual cameras you can print and assemble and shoot on. For example, I made this monster earlier this month, and it's something, all right. I'm planning on making some revisions and making it better and then releasing it for free in case anyone is as crazy as I am and wants to try it. But I also have some other cool ideas in the works for the next year or so that are more practical and I think people will really like. But there are a lot of amazing people in the community working on some really cool camera projects, like Camera Dactyl and all of his 3D printed medium format film cameras. If you haven't seen his stuff before, you need to follow him and check it out. His engineering skills are insane, and the products he's making are so cool. And once again, once you get access to the 3D print files, you can print as many of them as you want. And there's a bunch of other great ones too, like this camera my friend printed and photographed with for a panoramic film photography. There are cameras that use pinhole lenses, cameras that use off-the-shelf lenses you can buy and even include the working shutter, and some that use lenses that you can find cheaply that already have a built-in shutter. These allow you to play with different film formats that are much cheaper than buying a commercial camera, or let you play with formats that don't even exist. If you want me to tackle one of these projects on the channel, then let me know. I think it'd be super fun and interesting. So 3D printing for photography. I think actually they go hand in hand, at least the way I like to tinker and play with things. So if that's you, then do consider picking it up. I think it's a great hobby, or at least make sure one friend in your circle has a 3D printer and then you all can share it, because it is loads of fun. And nowadays, super easy. Like I said, just press it and it almost always just works, which is awesome. Can't stress that enough. Here's that video I made about making your own custom lens adapters. Check that out if you're interested. And until next time, as always, happy snapping.